Well, the Mar-a-Lago FBI raid saga gets curiouser and curiouser. The judge who agreed to appoint a special master to look into this whole thing is a Trump-appointed judge. Her name is Eileen Cannon. And she has ordered the appointment of what's called a special master to review everything. The warrant, the underlying affidavit, the documents that were taken, to review everything to make sure that it was done properly. She had a 24-page order, and she said this, that the plaintiff, referring to Donald Trump, is at risk of suffering injury from the government's retention and potential use of privileged materials. And she said she was swayed to side with Trump. There was a hearing, both the Trump lawyers and the government lawyers made their cases. She said that because of the executive privilege invocation that was rejected by the government, she says that position overstates the law. In other words, because you don't like the way Donald Trump invoked executive privilege, you can't throw out every time he invoked the privilege. That overstates the law. And she said even if his assertion of executive privilege ultimately fails, he can still raise it, quote, as an initial matter, end of quote. Not too surprisingly, over on MSNBC, which I watch, you don't have to, one of their regular guests, a lawyer named Eli Mistal, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was not amused.
Because she's biased and corrupt. Like, I don't know what to tell everybody anymore. Like, I've been saying this since he took office. When you allow Republicans to control the courts, you get nothing. Trump judges do not believe in the rule of law. They do not believe in precedent. They do not believe in facts. They do not believe in logic.
Now, even if you hate Donald Trump's guts, you cannot allow Republicans to appoint judges. Elections have consequences. And one of the consequences is you get to appoint judges. Biden is doing it right now as we speak. Trump did it. Trump had 3 Supreme Court appointments, much to the dismay of people like this gentleman. That's what it is. And they don't believe in the rule of law. The Trump appointed lawyers went to law school, got law degrees. They don't believe in the rule of law. All of them? They're all anarchists? Again, I know a lot of you watch the show because you think I'm fair, and I appreciate that. Don't you think this guy is just a bit unhinged?
They just believe in whatever's going to help Donald Trump, and they've proven it again.
They just believe in whatever is going to help Donald Trump. Could we make the same argument about the magistrate that authorized the warrant on Mar-a-Lago? After all, he was an Obama-appointed judge, gave money to Barack Obama. That doesn't disqualify a judge. If you disqualify all the judges who made financial contributions, we wouldn't have very many judges left. But could you make the same argument about that guy? You want to say that that judge does not believe in the rule of law? He only wants to do something to hurt Donald Trump? We could make that same argument. And if we did it every time the way this guy does, we would be equally unhinged.
Again and again. So when I say that you cannot trust Trump judges, I don't know what more evidence you need for that fact, right? Like, look, the argument that he has executive...
By the way, the Trump judges had to be confirmed by the Senate, the same as Obama judges did, the same as Biden judges did. How then did the Trump judges get confirmed? We have a 50-50 Senate, which meant at least some Democrats had to go along with these corrupt Trump judicial appointees, didn't they? So why aren't you blasting away at fellow Democrats for green lighting some of these corrupt Trump judges? Just a thought.
Privilege is so what the scientists would call stupid that it's difficult to explain it, right? Like the idea that, first of all, privilege...
You see the expressions on these 3 people on either side of him? They all hate Donald Trump. This is MSNBC, after all, a network that's given Al Sharpton a show, guy who made his bones by lying about a former assistant DA raping Tawana Brawley. I can go on and on and on about the no justice, no peace, Mr. Sharpton. But look at these 3 people. They're going, I'm not happy that there's been a special master who'll be appointed. I'm not happy that Donald Trump won this phase of the case against him. But
goes to the current president. We only have one president at a time. So it's not Trump's privilege to have. But even if it was, as you pointed out, with Bill Barr, who believes that the executive of the United States is something closer to a king than a president, even Bill Barr says that if he had a privilege, that privilege still goes with the government, not with Trump. And so these documents belong in the archives.
So he quotes Bill Barr, Trump's former AG. It's okay if I quote Alan Dershowitz, who thought that the warrant went way too far, doesn't believe it should have been granted. May I quote Jonathan Turley, who feels the same way, both of whom voted for Obama twice, both of whom are left-wing law professors? Can we do that? The last time we went through a recession, there were stocks that literally went to zero. Washington Mutual, Lehman Brothers, Chrysler, several blue chip stocks went to little or no value almost overnight. Could that happen again? And if it did, are your savings protected? Why not own something that has never been valued at zero? Gold. Historically, your best hedge against inflation, which is rising like a hockey stick as we speak. The savviest Americans diversify their savings to protect them from downturns in the market, from global instability, and from a failing dollar. Do you? Birch Gold Group helps you hold gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. In fact, if you have a 401k or IRA that's underperforming, just visit LarryForGold.com and you can convert that into an IRA in precious metals right now. Visit LarryForGold.com. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on diversifying into gold tax-free. Hedge against inflation. Protect your hard-earned money. Get your free info kit by visiting LarryForGold.com. That's LarryForGold.com. Do it today. Now, Joe Biden gave a very, very, very dark speech. How dark? Well, ABC, NBC, CBS, and many other networks refused to run it. It was run on CNN, MSNBC, and C-SPAN. And in the speech, he called out Donald Trump by name and said his supporters and Trump are a threat to our republic. Sometimes he said republic, sometimes he said democracy. I'm not quite sure he's decided which one it is. And he said, and I'm quoting him, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor, said Biden, to pretend otherwise, end quote. Then, after he gave his speech, where essentially he called 74 million Americans a threat to America, he was asked, do you mean everybody? And here's what he said.
Mr. President, do you consider all Trump supporters to be a threat to the country?
Yo, everyone, come on.
You can't make that case. I don't consider any Trump supporter to be a threat to the country. I do think anyone who calls for the use of violence fails to condemn violence when it's used, refuses to acknowledge when an election has been won, insists upon changing the way in which the rules you count votes. That is a threat to democracy. Democracy. And everything we stand for rests on the platform of democracy. When people voted for Donald Trump and support him now, they weren't voting for attacking the Capitol. They weren't voting for overruling the election. They were voting for a philosophy he put forward. So I am not talking about anything other than it is inappropriate, and it's not only happening here, but other parts of the world where there's a failure to recognize and condemn violence whenever it's used for political purposes, failure to condemn the attempt to manipulate electoral outcomes, failure to acknowledge when elections were won or lost.
Failure to acknowledge when elections were won or lost, said Joe Biden.